Hi, I'm Paul Sherratt, the founder of gloveglu,
Hi, I'm Martin Brennan, the owner of DG UK.
and together we bring you Developing Goalkeeping, a series of tips, chat, podcasts, YouTube videos, really trying to talk about improving and developing your game. So, without further ado, let's crack on. What are we talking about today?
We're going to give you some tips on how to improve your game, basically giving you 4 simple steps to improve it.
So we're talking about the mental side. I guess the first place to start is sort of before the game. What do I do? When does it start? Does it start the night before? Does it start in the dressing room? Does it start on the drive? Does it start in the warm up? Where do we sort of start this whole mental approach?
I think everyone's different, aren't they? It depends, sort of person you are and the character you are. I think some prepare the night before. Some won't allow themselves to prepare the night before. They'll want to just chill out and relax. Some will, the minute they wake up, they're on it and they're preparing. Yeah. For me, as long as they're getting mentally prepared and physically prepared as they turn up to the game on match day, that's where I would do it. I wouldn't recommend trying to prepare for too long and trying to get in a mental state for too long. If it's the night before, you're still thinking about, dealing with the kids, getting them to bed, and I think it's really healthy. A trigger point for me would be whether it's a home game, you turning up in your own car, and the minute you pull into the ground, right, now we're on it. This is where, we've got to start thinking about the game. But everyone's different.
So I'm walking in, I'm switching on, I'm walking in the dressing room. I guess maybe some people have their own routine and they have their own kind of way of doing things. Mm. You've been in a lot of dressing rooms over the years. You must have seen some interesting stuff. The ways that some keepers kind of get themselves in the zone. Yeah.
I've seen some people. I've seen some goalies. Walk in, put their headphones in, and that's it. Don't talk to me until we go out for the game. Some of the lads walk round, taking a pee out of each other. Some like pulling lads' trousers down and messing about. It's a feel-good factor. As long as they feel good and they're in their own little zone, that's great. But everyone is different. Probably the most surreal one I've seen and the most effective one, if you like, for the individual was Tom Heaton. We had, when I was on doing the first team at Wycombe, we had him on loan from Man United to Wycombe. We played Oldham away. I think it was Oldham away. And come into the dressing room and he'd walked in. I don't think he had any headphones on, Tom, to be fair. He liked to talk and communicate with people and interact. And anyway, he's gone missing for about 4 or 5 minutes. I can't find him in the dressing room. So I've walked around the showers. He's in the shower. But he's sitting on one of the ice boxes. But he's playing one of them, I think it was either a Nintendo, I think it was a Nintendo DS.
Right.
I can't say Game Boy, because I think Game Boy was just going back way too far. Yeah. And he's not that old, same as me. But yeah, he was playing a Nintendo DS. So I'm thinking, right, what do I do here? Do I join in and play, join up with him with a Sonic Hedgehog that he's playing?
Is it a two-player?
I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, I've got to ask him. Like, he's really approachable, top guy. So I went, Tom, what are you sort of doing? Just out of interest. And he went, I'm playing like a game that switches on your brain and it starts switching on your eyes and opening up your eyes. And I'm like, this is phenomenal. I've never seen the dressing rooms I've been in. I've seen lads, picking their toenails and like really random stuff. But he was preparing himself. He was preparing for the warm-up. And then he'd go into the warm-up for the warm-up to prepare for the game. It was incredible.
And is it, it's not visualization in that context, but is there an element of visualization coming into the game? Is there a point, I guess certain players would do this, they'll sit and they'll think through how they, what might happen in the game. Is that, or do they do that in the warm up? When does that happen?
I think from my experience, I think the older ones will start try and push it aside.
Right.
And listen, I've been here many times. I know what's coming. I'm either catching it or I'm not. I'm coming for the cross or I'm. They've been through it loads of times. I think they try and push it aside and leave the mental side for a little bit closer to the match. I think the younger goalies, you can see headphones. There's a trend now, headphones in, zoning out.
A lot of sports, actually.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're just going to try and. I want to try and zone in now. I don't think there's a right and wrong way. I think there's a way that you find, and you sort of veer off that way. But then, you know, the listeners may know this or not know this, but what normally happens when you turn up at a ground, to give the kit people a chance, with kit lady or kit man a chance to set up, they'll send, you know, the manager will send them out onto the pitch, which gives the goalie, for me, an opportunity to go and stand in the goal, both ends, and start getting that feeling of, right, what's around? You know, is the obvious one, right? Is the conditions? Is it stupidly windy? Most goalies I've ever worked with, the first thing they do when they wake up in the morning is go straight to the window, open the window, and go, is it windy? That's the main thing that they'll go and find out. And it's amazing how many goalies do that.
Right? It's going to be
massive for goalies.
Absolutely.
Through balls, crosses. Yeah. And so once they go out, they'll start getting a feeling of it. But that's my, now I've become obviously we all get older, but now I've come older in the coaching side of it. That's for me an opportunity for the goalie to start visualising what they could potentially be doing in the game. You know, stand in the goal and visualise yourself coming for a cross. Don't have to physically go and do it, but just see yourself coming. Just see your foot patterns going.
I think it reminds me. I think back in the day, I think was it David James wasn't that the ultimate visualisation?
Yeah.
Something he was without a ball or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Tell me the story. I can't.
And
remember.
again, for any you know, if you're a goalkeeping freak, which I love, my whole world's goalkeeping.
Yeah.
So if you're goalie freak or you're a goalie, you kind of should know this story. He played for Portsmouth, came out for the warm up, started his physical preparation, and then started to continue his warm up without the ball. So he's catching it, he's coming for crosses,
pretend.
Yeah. So in the warm up, to him, he's like 10 out of 10. I can't do any better. I've caught everything.
What a blind.
But he's obviously had this thing in his head, and he's gone, right, I've obviously been here so many times. I've played so many games. Let's mix it up. Let's see what I can do different to get the extra edge. And was it an age thing where he's going, I don't need to do so much physical work now. Let's just get me in a mental frame of mind. And I think it's a brilliant idea.
Well, maybe he was
brilliant idea.
Maybe he's ahead of the curve. I mean, that must have been 10 plus years ago.
Yeah, would have been.
And you see it now. You see it in sports now. You see, I don't know, the skiers.
Yeah.
And they're visualising their 2-minute run. Or you see, you're a golfer. You've seen the golfers.
Yeah.
I mean, even an amateur golfer. I'm a pretty bad hacker, but even I'll do a few practice swings to try and visualise. I guess it's the same principle. I mean,
exactly the same. Whether it's putting, whether it's, you know, the biggest thing for me is on the tee box. You know, everyone always gets, whether you're playing with a mate you've known for 20 years or someone you know for 10 minutes, there's always that edgy feeling of, especially on the first tee, don't shank the first one. And
how'd you get on with water?
Well,
because don't forget, there's water on the right.
Yeah, I've played a few courses where you play it for the first time.
That's where it's going,
and you don't know.
Going in there.
Yeah,
it's going in there.
But you don't know there's water on the right, and then just put your head down. One of the lads goes, you know, there's water on the right, and they know what they're doing.
Of course they do.
Do you know what I mean? They know. They've timed it perfectly. The minute you go that with your head down, water on the. So you now go right. I've now got to look back up. Please don't hit in the water. You're visualising yourself hitting it into the water.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, let's reverse that. And one of the things I always use was with a visualisation, especially in golf. And a mate of mine told me this. Look to visualise something in a far distance. So it might be the highest tree. You might see the highest tree. So instead of visualising the fairway, look at that highest tree and aim for that highest tree. Because if you can set it off there, it's great. And it's exactly the same with the goal kicks. You know, picture yourself looking at the flag, the corner flag.
Yeah, it's really
aim
good.
for the corner flag. Don't worry about hitting an air. Aim for the corner flag, and that you know your focus is so much stronger in hitting something further in the distance.
And I guess this whole kind of approach to the game is all about being in that zone. Isn't it? All about that focus. So let's recap. So I've had. Maybe I prepped the night before, but I've driven to the ground. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling confident. I've done the same thing. I've done my dressing room prep. I've been on my Game Boy or my Switch or whatever it is these days, and I've done my thing. I'm in the right zone. Maybe I've got my headphones on.
Yeah.
I've come out. I've done my warm up, with or without the ball, depending on who you are. I've done a bit of visualisation, so I'm prepped. I'm good. How do I carry that into a game? What happens in the game? How do I stay focused? Because, you know, as a keeper, I might only touch the ball 5 times, 6 times, 10 times.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of period where I'm not necessarily involved in the game, how do I mentally stay strong and focused? Because that presumably is vital.
Yeah, so one thing I work on with the young ones is and try to get them to understand this is concentration, and how do you get especially young goalies,
Really
to continue that concentration through the game.
Yeah.
So for me, the biggest thing I get them to focus on is the communication in games. You know, if you can communicate in games, it keeps you involved in the game. You stay interactive with the game. And as you're communicating and talking, I think it stops your brain, allowing your brain to start veering off to other things. You know, so, but as I remember playing in a game when I was younger, and I start thinking about, balls at the other end. I start thinking about like a shopping list.
Yeah.
Like I need to get some stuff for the flat, and I need to. You think, what are you doing? Yeah. You need to come back. No. Come back. And
I noticed. I'm not a coach, I'm not even a goalkeeper. Stood behind Aaron Ramsdale at the weekend at the Emirates, and I noticed that maybe it's just because he was in front of me, and maybe probably because I'm around goalkeeping, I noticed the goalkeeper more. But I noticed the whole match.
Yeah.
He was doing exactly what you've just said. Now, okay, maybe he's on a high at the moment because he's on a level and he's on the up, but he's completely engaged for the full 90 minutes. So I guess that's the epitome of it, isn't it? Is being at that level and just being in it and directing and shouting and thinking and planning, even if you're not physically touching the ball.
Yeah.
You're involved in the game mentally, and I guess physically to some extent, because I guess he's keeping himself warm as well. It was a cold day.
But it's part of the position. For me, it's a massive part of the position, and it's overlooked. I think it's overlooked a lot because, as I said, it does keep you in the game. And I do a lot of work with my own boy at the minute, and in the last two years, we've worked a lot on communication. Yeah. So when the ball's at the other end, his trigger point for when the ball's at the other end is to focus on his defenders and get his defenders organised. So if they leave two strikers up, how's he going to structure that? He's going to try and get them two marked up and maybe get another defender in front of them two. So if the ball comes out, his defender gets there before the two strikers get there. And it's become. I think it's a massive part of the game that's well overlooked, and we need to, especially with the young ones, because people say, "Oh, you can't do that with young kids." You can't get. No, you can do that with young kids.
Yeah.
And I had a little spell at Orient when my boy was there for the third time at Orient, going back for the third time, working with the academy goalies, and we had the under 8s and under 9s, 10s, and 11 goalies all communicating through the game, and it was like, how do you stay in the game? Right, let's give you 5 things that you're going to say.
Yeah.
They'd forget 4 of them, but it wasn't important. They were talking through the game and they were staying engaged in the game. So it's something that every goalie should work towards while the ball's at the other end. Because what you're doing most of the game. Most of the game you're standing and you're analysing what's going to happen or potentially going to happen next. I'd like to look at that actually to see how many minutes you physically as the goalie have got contact with the ball. I'd imagine it's probably less than 6 minutes.
I bet even less than that. I bet it's even less than that.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
But then in training sessions, we're constantly on it and catching.
Yeah.
But we don't actually do something where we go, right, you're not going to touch the ball for 12 minutes. And then you're going to do something.
How do you stay engaged?
How do you deal with that?
Actually.
And obviously that's where the top level goalies get to that level.